Right, 1 April 2024, and this is not an April Fool's joke. This is an actual broadcast. So, what I'm going to say here is not supposed to trick you or to make you fall for an April Fool's joke. And I would like to take a bit of time to explain where we are. I've been saying this for a very, very long time. We are at a very critical point in our politics in Zimbabwe. And yesterday's events that I showed you are very, very significant. When you saw that empty chair at the Mbungo shrine, that was very, very significant. And we are yet to see more. So if you look at this picture, this is the seat of General Chikanga with no one on it. And this seat, someone is not forced to go to church. Someone is not supposed to go to church. So if Chikanga doesn't go to church, there's no reason to say he's not there. He can easily stay at home for no reason. But an ED, they were specifically trying to show us that ED did not come to this gathering, and there are going to be repercussions over this decision by General Chikanga not to show up. But today I don't want to speak about that. I want to show you, I want to play for you video or audio from the Apostolic sects, which describe what is going to happen. This has been communicated to ED, according to my understanding, and he is aware of what is going to happen. And this prophecy has been given on 4 occasions to ED and to people in the political circles of Zimbabwe. They are well aware of what is going to happen. So I'm going to play for you this clip, and then we're going to take it from there. I'm going to go into a bit of analysis of what is going to happen. So let's play this prophecy, which was issued 4 times. That was in 1933, in 1956, in 1977, and just before the elections in 2023. And this is going to shape according to, you see, the people we're dealing with, they believe in prophecies. So you must put yourself in the place of ED and understand how he thinks. He believes in prophecies, and this prophecy was issued on 4 occasions by the Apostolic sects. And that is why you see what he didn't go to the Apostolic this week. So let me play for you the prophecy, and then I'll give you a bit more analysis.
Mambo achagara nguwa refu yaachagara ndauna azoputirwa nemumwe wake kana kuti ndevamwe vake. Iye wacho azomuputira wacho naiye achaputirwa. Iye wacho achaputira achasvika pakunosarenda ega zvauma, nekuti nyika inenge yatarisana nemakore manomwe enzara, uono, zvirwere. Saka ndokutaura kwakaita izvi. Saka vanhu vangataure zvavo sematauriro kana kuti mafungiro. Ndichinamata ndiri pachiweshe, Tsvangirai akauya achikumbira kukuisirwa muteuro. Izwi rakamuti, iyi nyika iyi hauzoitongi nekuti ine chitsividzo. Iyi nyika yakadiwa nevari pasi ndimweya mutsvene naiye Mwari pache zvake. Kuti uzive kuti iyi nyika iyi hauzo wakaitonga, mberi uko kwatiri kuenda uchawina. Asi handina kuona wagara pachikamu. 2008 vatsvangirai vaive ndiyo mutungamiri webato rinokukwidza vakawina, asi havana kuchigara. Ndo zvimwe chete zvakamira zuva ranhasi. Uyu mutungamiri wedu aripo, zvakajeka kana zviri pachena zvakataurwa nezwi zvatiri kuona nezvatakaona kubva mari wesuro. Izwi richiti ndauna jongwe dema rabuda mujongwe jena, ndauna mabhuru mairi dema netsvuku emudanga rimwe chete achiri kuisana, kuratidza kuti nyaya yedu yakamira inyaya yekuputirana. Saka zvese zvavangataure nezvingaitike zvekuextenda nguva yekuti ave pachigaro, izvozvo zvinofanira kuti zvizadzise, ndokuti pazowana mukana wokuti aputirwe. Izwi iri rakaramba rakati handina kuona asira mumwe wake chigaro, asi taona azoita zvekuputirwa. 19 1933, 56, 76 netakuenda kuma elections tichinamata kunamatira nyika kuti ive nerunyararo. Saka makaona kuti nyika yakave nerunyararo pasarudzo yenyu zvisati zvamboitika. 2017 takanamata zvimwe chetezvo takatenderwa nyika tichitsipika chete mweya. Saka makaona kuti mukupfutirana kwavakaita hapana kuti ukaropa pakanga paine minamato. Zvichiti pane chinoda kuitika asi isusu vapostori tanzi tinamate chete kuti ropa risadeuke. Saka chinhu chatinonamata chete inyaya yekuti ropa risadeuke, nekuti Mwari nenyika ino vane chitsividzo chekuti nyika ino haideuke ropa. Vakati ropa rakadeuka ndiro rakabvumirwa vanhu vachirwisa vachena kuti vapiwe ivhu ravo. Saka vakatonzi ipapo zvakwana nekuti zvatenderwa iwezve zvaive zvakabvumirwa naMwari Baba kuti ropa rideuke nekuti vairwira ivhu renyu. Kubva nguva ino yamave nevhu renyu kureva 1980 pakanzi nyika ino haizotendera kuti ideuke ropa rwepiri. Ndokutaura kweizwi, kutaura kwemweya mutsvene. Pakanamata tichitenderera pasarudzo takataura takati izwi redu ratiti nyika ino ichadzokera kune utungamiri huriko, asi kuseri kwesarudzo kune matambudziko, kune nzava, ndiko kune rufu rwake mutungamiri ari kutungamira iyi nyika nhasi. Vamwe vakati aiwa taona nyo Zimbabwe ino inzara. Zvino izwi rakavirika rakati kune makore manomwe akasusikidzana kana kuti akaberekana enzara. Ndokureva kwakaita izwi mweya mutsvene.
Right, so I think you heard it for yourself. This is a long-standing prophecy among the apostolic sects. So the guy who's giving this prophecy is a prophet in Zimbabwe. He is one of the top prophets among the apostolic sect, but he's not the one who issued the prophecy. The prophecy was issued within all the apostolic sects that are in Zimbabwe, and those guys believe in their prophecies. So they prophesied the coming of ED after the toppling of Mugabe, and they're saying that after the toppling of Mugabe, the current leader will be toppled, and he will be toppled after he tries to overstay in his position. But the last bit was very scary, where he says this is not going to be a bloodless coup. So I hope that you'll be able to rewatch this video or this prophecy. I'm going to try to replay it at the end, but obviously that's not his voice. I've made some changes to his voice. I know the details of all these guys. These are genuine prophets. That prophecy has been delivered to ED on multiple occasions, but as you can see, he's still insisting on staying on the third term, and I don't know whether that is by design or what, but that prophecy has been issued to him. ED knows the apostolic sects have issued those prophecies, and ED yesterday he issued a warning, a subtle warning to General Chikanga. I'm going to play it for you, but I think I want to speak first about Bishop Mtendi. Bishop Mtendi was very disappointing to me yesterday because from what I can see, he does not see the suffering that his congregation is going through. He's well placed to speak to Mnangagwa and explain to him that the current situation in Zimbabwe needs to be solved. The current problems in Zimbabwe are not trivial, they are massive. And someone like Bishop Mtendi can easily have an ear or have ED's ear and describe to him what he needs to do. The current situation in Zimbabwe is never ever happened before. Even during Mugabe's days, we've never reached this point where everything is in position for Zimbabwe to do well, but ED does not allow it to do well, especially when you look at the currency issue. This week, there's going to be massive developments around the currency. So look at what Bishop Mtendi said, and I think he missed an opportunity here to deal with his congregation. So let's have a look at what he said.
To suffer, man. Kana vachida nyika ngavatore man haikona kuti safesa man kudera man kati free man pane vanogona kufara vanoita bogi vanovata pamubhedha inoti tefu nemotikari zvisingaiti, but when they own nothing of that country or land, they own nothing, but they are happy, they're the happiest, but they own nothing because they don't want to suffer. You must suffer to own your land. Vanogara achitibetsera zvisingambobviri by 1 million US. God bless.
Umwe noumwe wedu ari pano naasiri pano, Jehovha anoti kwaari, anoti kwatiri, ndinoziva zvandakakurongera. Hapana chakaipa chandakakurongera. Ini zvandakaronga saJehovha zvakakunakira iwe pachako. Asi iwe kana usingatendi kuna Jehovha, usingadi kufamba netsika yechiKristu, uchida kufamba netsika yerima, aiwa, unokohwa zverima. Asi uchifamba netsika yaJehovha, unokohwa zvorugare nezvine chiedza. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So this was a stark warning. This came out of nowhere. If you watch ED speaking, it's got nothing to do with what I was talking about. He was just looking for a chance to warn General Chiwenga. Kuti kana uchifamba nemabasa erima uchakohwa. So this is a challenge. ED is well aware that his days are numbered. And guys, where we are going, it's gonna be a very, very difficult period. Already there is drought around the whole country. Besides talking about election prophecies and stuff, there is a massive drought around the country. The currency has collapsed, and a drought in Zimbabwe results in even a further and more steep decline of the currency. ED does not want to address any of the problems. He does not want to have dialogue with Chamisa. It's as if he's sabotaging himself on a daily basis. But these warnings that he's issuing and the events in the military are very concerning. I'll give you an update on what happened to the military this week. There's further developments in the military that happened this week involving the Zimbabwe Staff College. So I'm going to take you through what is happening. ED is losing control of the situation. He is no longer in control of the situation, and he cannot push forever. So something is going to happen. It's imminent, but I hope that it doesn't go the way that the prophecies of the Apostolic sects have said. The Apostolic sects have said this is going to be 7 years. So you can see that now we're in 2024. So 7 years is 2030. Like exactly where ED is talking about going, 2030. This is the critical 7-year period that we've ended, which will end in 2030. And I talked to the actual prophet myself, and he said all these events are going to take place up to 2030. We're going to have a more difficult period in Zimbabwe. The situation is going to be extremely difficult in our country. It's not going to improve within the next 7 years. So ED is going to reject dialogue. He's not going to hand over. He's not going to leave in 2028. And eventually, there is going to be a need to remove him. That is what he said to me, this prophet. So I will take this as addressed. This has been addressed. I don't know what is going to happen. But what I know is that this particular month, according to my own predictions, there is a very big problem that is developing. ED's government is on the verge of collapse. So I don't know what is going to happen, but he is not going to be able to pass this month without doing something very, very special. The currency is totally collapsed and nothing is moving. Let's watch what happens at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe this week, how they deal with what they call a structured currency. That is the worst idea ever. And there is no other country in the whole world that is a structured currency. All that ED needs to do to solve this problem is to remove the Zimbabwe dollar, remove the multi-currency system, and only remain with the US dollar. And then make sure that money is difficult to find. Because right now in Zimbabwe, if you're in the right circles, money comes to you like rain. It just comes to you. There's no control. Among the top guys, they've got billions and billions. That is why you see Kuti and a week now, they can donate $1 million. If you go to any country and say donate $1 million, that is done by billionaires. And in Zimbabwe, the fact that these guys are able to do it, they're able to buy $200,000 cars, it's because they're sitting on massive stashes of cash. They've got massive cash, but it's not productive cash. It's not being used for productive purposes. the cash that is currently in the market is being used by a few elite, a cabal, the guys at the top. They've got access to that cash, which they're using for vote buying. So basically what you're seeing now is vote buying. But do not believe that everyone in ZANU-PF is part of it. Many people in ZANU-PF have got no access to the money. Many people in the government, in security services, they've got nothing to eat. And as we speak right now, the amount of suffering among government employees is extreme. It's unheard of. We've never had a situation like what we have right now. So let's watch the situation this month. April is going to be a critical month going to Independence Day. There's going to be massive developments during this period. And we also have to watch what are the repercussions for General Chikanga, who has obviously been warned. Last week I told you he was warned again. This week he received another warning that I've just played for you, a stark warning. So let's see what happens and let's look at this. So I want to quickly go through the news. Today I didn't have time to look at all my newspapers, and I want to take you through two massive stories. One of the biggest stories that is happening today is a doctor in Harare, a popular doctor, is responsible for all the drugs that you've been seeing in Harare. And this young doctor is called Dr. Tanaka Chimuka. He's been arrested by the police. Dr. Tanaka Chimuka is running a surgery in Harare. And I think his surgery, so you can find this story in the H Metro newspaper. So he's running a surgery in Harare. That is Dr. Tanaka Chimuka, the popular doctor. He's been working with a Milton Park nurse called Tapiwa Mtebuka. And they've been supplying prescription drugs, so the ones that you use to get high, with using bicycles. So they were like, you know, the way you deliver Uber, that's what they were doing. Uber Eats. They were taking drugs to people. That is how bad this situation was. And intelligence managed to get hold of these guys. So this is a massive story, massive development, because now you didn't understand where the drugs were coming from. And now there we have it. It's a doctor with a surgery in Harare, a young doctor, Dr. Tanaka Chimuka. He is implicated in the supply of these drugs with a nurse at Milton Park Hospital, Tapiwa Mtebuka. So this is very, very big. Then we have the story of a young woman. And the reason why I'm bringing you this story is the mother of this young woman called me last week. So this young woman is called Nomathamsanqa Nyathi. If you saw this video, the husband of this guy, of this young lady, came to the bedroom and he asked them why they were in bed together when it's his wife. And they had a conversation, a very civil conversation. I found it extremely civil because normally guys would use the opportunity to cause some violence. But the guy was not violent. So this story is now at the headlines of the H Metro, the leading story in the H Metro. And what has happened is that the school where these two worked, their teachers, has apparently fired these two because of the story. It has brought a lot of bad image on the school. However, what happened is that last week, the mother of Nomathamsanqa called me. So I didn't publish this story, and I didn't ask my guys to publish the story. So we didn't publish the story. But the mother of the girl called me, and I asked her, what is happening? She said to me, this story is actually not true. So I don't know if the H Metro guys have done their due diligence on this story. And she said, this guy, the soldier, had actually left this girl, and she had moved on, and he's now harassing her. There is a police case. They've opened a police case, and they've got a peace order against the husband. So I would like to think the guys at the H Metro have done due diligence on this, because if it's a case of abuse, I say to them that they should probably have a look to say, is this woman being abused? And because, you know, most guys would then follow up on their ex-wife or whatever and cause a sin. So I don't know if I'm being taken for a ride or if H Metro is being taken for a ride. So I asked her, the mother, to call Mkoma Sharoko, and I gave her the numbers of the H Metro guys. And I also asked her if she didn't get any joy to call the CEO of Zim Papers. So I gave her both numbers, and I said, if this is a true case of abuse, and there's a police case and a police report, then the H Metro will not publish a story where a woman is being abused and being followed up. So I don't know what's happening, because I saw the story is again back in the newspaper. So maybe the mother, if she's watching me, she can call me back and explain what is happening, if she managed to get hold of the H Metro guys to explain that this was actually a case of abuse that is taking place. The ex-husband is coming and causing chaos on this woman. Then in terms of sport, so let me quickly run through this. In terms of sport, Kama Billiard and Umsona are back in the Warriors. And then we've got the story of there's a human development report being issued tomorrow by the UNDP. I'll try to bring you this tomorrow when they issue it. So there's going to be a Zoom, so I'll try to record or ask them to give me the recording. I've not managed to have a look at the Herald newspaper because I don't think they've published. You know, today is a Monday, so most newspapers don't publish the day before the holidays. But let's have a quick look together so that we can see if there's anything interesting. So I'm going to share the newspaper with you here. That is the Herald newspaper. These newspapers do very, very well. They provide information. Unfortunately, what has happened is that there's a lot of politics in the newspapers, especially ZBC. ZBC is now a problem. Their news is basically an ED news bulletin. Everything there is about ED. So as you can see, the Zim papers is talking about the Church Critical National Building. It's Mnangagwa here speaking. And then if you go through all the other sections, you can see they're talking about the development projects. And then I think you can go and have a look. This is a very small newspaper. In sports, we've got Cape United overwhelm Arsenal Movers, and then Dynamo Sick first league win. That is what we have here. So there's not much in the newspaper. It's basically the old stuff that we have. So let's look at some adverts. Seat of Kadoma. What is Seat of Kadoma saying? Seat of Kadoma is saying Regional Town Planning Act. Notice is hereby given that application to subdivide stand number 2283 Westview Gatoma district has been lodged. So these are notices from all these places. And then we've got ZEC. ZEC has printed 3,670 ballot papers for Midlands, Matabeleland, North, and so that's Lupane and Kwekwe. If you want to look, you can look at those at the ZEC website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop looking at this paper now. It's very small. I don't want you guys to read the whole paper. They will come here and they will not like me anymore. So I try not to give you too much. These are very good newspapers. A lot of profit. They're making profit now at Zim papers, but the profit is in Zim dollars, and they're also funded by the government of Zimbabwe. So those are the main stories. The Dr. Tapanaka Chimuka. This is crazy. What he's been doing in Harare. He's been supplying drugs around Harare using motorbikes. And then obviously the Legal Resources Foundation is closed after Sweden took away the grant. So those are some of the stories that are actually big in Harare today. But let's go back and recap, and then we'll go to the comments. We say that ED has been told on multiple occasions that there's a prophecy that he is going to be toppled after these elections, and it won't be a bloodless coup. That is why you see that ED is no longer going to the Apostolic sects. He knows about that prophecy. It's because he's not going to hand over. And that is what is going to happen. This empty chair is massive. This is a massive sign of what is going to happen. There is a lot of disunity and fighting at the top in Zimbabwe. And that empty chair is telling me a lot. It's not put there for no reason. It's put there for a reason. Because no one is supposed to go to church. If someone doesn't go to church, you don't leave a church, a seat open for them. So that was done in purpose. And then in terms of what is going to happen, the warning has been given by ED. And I'm going to play for you these two just before we leave. The dynasty is growing. So you can see that the dynasty is growing. Wiki now has joined this group. He's now closer and closer to ZANU-PF. And I don't know what is going to happen, but this month is going to be critical. By Friday, we're going to know what is going to happen to the currency. if ED mismanages the currency, the fall of the ED government is imminent. It's going to happen in a swift and sudden way. There will be a fall of the government of Mnangagwa. So let me go to the comments, and then I'll quickly go and replay those videos for you again. The prophecy and the warning by Mnangagwa. There's Ngoma Richard says, Tanzania Nambo kungo sita kwakaita chamisa hapana chirikufamba. I guess you say kungosia kwakaita chamisa hapana chirikufamba. I've got my own thoughts about chamisa. Chamisa is doing very, very well in terms of the support, and I do not know how we're going to move to the dialogue that Chamisa wants. Strategically, Chamisa has identified the dialogue as the approach. So I don't know what is going to happen and how we're going to get this done. So I hope that direction is found. And then Mkoma Jeto says, the Gamago, those prophets are charlatans. No one is a prophet or hears from God. That's all a scam. But for real, what is happening in Zimbabwe is not annoying. It's not annoying, Mkoma. It's a life and death situation. People are dying on a daily basis. As we speak right now, hospitals have got no medicine. If you get cancer, you're almost certain to die. There is no food, no internet connectivity. And I always tell people that a lack of internet connectivity is almost like someone taking away opportunity from you. And what I'm going to do myself, and I commit to this, as soon as the situation normalizes and we're able to open our head office, I'm going to make sure that we provide internet access across the country. And we're going to do this through the Starlink. Obviously, Starlink comes. I'm going to make sure that throughout the 10 provinces of Zimbabwe, we get the internet to be over there. So that would be one of our biggest projects that we're going to do. And obviously, this will make a massive difference. Not having internet is worse than not having water. That is what I believe. And then, Mkoma MS is saying, Marcelina actually missed. There's no one that wants Chamisa to take over. This is the false narrative being created by Gambagwe alone. Chikanga is content with his position. Don't be fooled. Mkoma, Chikanga has been warned twice this week by Mnangagwa. 2 times. And you saw one of the warnings here. I also told you that Chikanga was asked to go to Mbungo. I played for you that clip. Mnangagwa asked Chikanga to come with him to Mbungo. And I played for you. And Chikanga did not go. What is going to happen is among the top three, within the next few weeks, you're going to see something quite big. And I'm not talking about long periods here. And in any way, I predict for you something that's here, because I'm very confident of what I'm saying. The clash between Chikanga and ED is well documented. Mnangagwa and Chikanga, they had an agreement that after the coup, Mnangagwa will do his first term, and then Chikanga will take over the second term. And then once he's in office, ED refused to hand over on the second term. That is what I understand. This is where everything's coming from. This is where the clash is coming from. And to make it worse, ED is putting in place a dynasty, which means that he wants, when he leaves, his sons or his relatives take over. And Mkoma is saying he didn't mention his name. Yes, he didn't mention his name. Vanhu vakuru kana vachitaura havatauri nenzira iyoyo. But isusu, like me, that's my job, to read behind the the statement. So when I listen to a person, I don't listen in a very simple manner. I listen in a very, very deep manner. So let me not get sidetracked. Let me go back to the dispute. The dispute is Chikanga is the next in line, but Vakoma and ED, they are not recognizing Chikanga as next in line. In fact, they want to put other people in that position. That is what is believed, or that is commonly held belief. They want to take over or to put someone in place of ED of Chikanga so that it doesn't take over. There is no succession plan in place. In fact, they are going for a third term so that they weigh out Chikanga and eventually someone else takes over. That is where the current situation is a problem. Mohadi is being used to sort of weaken Chikanga. That is the position. Mohadi should not be a vice president right now after what he did with the Give Me a Cup. So this situation is Give Me a Cup. This is crazy, right? Presidium. And unfortunately, what is happening in the military is even worse. The military is slowly getting into civilian affairs. I showed you last week the political statement made by the commander of the defense forces, a political statement about our people. Those things, listen very, very carefully, and it's very, very important. I don't want to get distracted because there's so many dimensions to what is happening. But the truth is that the combination of a collapse of the economy, a fight at the top, and a lack of a succession plan leads only to one thing, especially in a militarized environment. So a militarized environment where the military is now slowly discovering that they've got a role to play in civilian affairs. And the military has what they call now a Vision 2063. So I'm going to show you that some very, very soon, as soon as I get the information. But our military have now developed a strategy where they say they've got a Vision 2063. And this came out this week. I've briefly seen that presentation that was done by the staff college to the staff college about the Vision 2063. So look very, very carefully at the events that are taking place. We are right in the middle of these events. And what I always say is that many people fold during this time. So many people, many politicians, many media players, they fold at the wrong time. You need to be very strong when things are happening. And what many people do is, as politicians or whatever, when the things are happening, they then become afraid and they go away. But I have been in this particular period on multiple occasions, and I know exactly what I'm talking about. When this starts, it starts slowly, but it accelerates. And eventually, it just explodes. One day, you're going to wake up and you're going to see the whole situation out in the public domain. Someone is going to have an outburst among the three. And you know who's going to have an outburst. Normally, it will start with a woman. She's going to have an outburst. And then everything is just going to fall apart. But all I can tell you is that where we are, you can't go back where you are. It's like you poured water out onto the ground. You can't pick it up. This is what is happening now. The lines have been drawn and the fight is on. It's on. Tapinda panunzi pa. The final push or the last kicks. What I call the last kicks. And Musa is saying it's just common sense that Chikanga should be next in line. After ED and ZANU-PF, we should take over. VP Kemo Mohado or General Chikanga. General Chikanga is next in line, but he has lost favor with ED. And this is because he is not part of the dynasty. General Chikanga is not part of the dynasty. That is the effect. He is actually not wanted by the dynasty because there is going to be massive repercussions if he takes over in Zimbabwe. So I think we've covered a lot here. I've talked a lot. I did not intend to talk for this long. It's 33 minutes. Normally, I try to keep this at 30 minutes. But let's not go without recapping. There is a prophecy by the Apostolic sects, a long-running prophecy from 1933 that has described all the events that have taken place so far. 1933, 1956, 1976, and 2023, it was issued. The current leadership has been told that they will attempt to stay in office, but then they'll be toppled very, very soon. There'll be 7 years of hunger. And after those 7 years, the person who takes over is going to give up and quit because the situation is not going to improve. And I do not know what comes after. So I do not want to pretend that I know what comes after. So let's replay that prophecy, and then I'll play Mnangagwa's warning.
Asi muchinge mapiwa utongi wenyu nefu renyu ndauna pachaita mambo achagara nguva refu yachagara ndauna azoputirwa nemumwe wake kana kuti nevamwe vake, iye wacho azomupfutira wacho naiye achapfutirwa. Iye wacho achapfutira achasvika pakunosarenda ega zvaoma, nekuti nyika inenge yatarisana nemakore manomwe enzara, uondo, zvirwere. Saka ndokutaura kwakaita izwi. Saka vanhu vangataure zvavo sematauriro kana kuti mafungiro. Ndichinamata ndiri pachiweshe, Tsvangirai akauya achikumbira kuisirwa muteuro. Izwi rakamuti, iyi nyika iyi hauzoitongi nekuti ine chitsividzo. Iyi nyika yakadiwa nevari pasi ndimweya mutsvene naiye Mwari pache zvake, kuti uzive kuti iyi nyika iyi hauzo wakaitonga. Mberi uko kwatiri kuenda uchawina, asi handina kuona wagara pachikano. 2008 vatsvangirai vaive ndiyo mutungamiri webato rinokukwidza vakawina, asi hapana kuchigara. Ndo zvimwe chete zvakamira zuva ranhasi. Uyu mutungamiri wedu aripo, zvakajeka kana zviri pachena zvakataurwa nezwi zvatiri kuona nezvatakaona kubva marimwe suro. Izwi richiti ndaona jongwe dema rabuda mujongwe jena, ndaona mabhuru mairi dema netsvuku emudanga rimwe chete achirwisana, kuratidza kuti nyaya yedu yakamira inyaya yekupfutirana. Saka zvese zvavangataure nezvingaitike zvekuextenda nguva yekuti ave pachigaro, izvozvo zvinofanira kuti zvizadzise, ndokuti pazowana mukana wokuti apfutirwe. Izwi iri rakaramba rakati handina kuona asira mumwe wake chigaro, asi taona azoita zvekupfutirwa. 1933, 56, 76 netakuenda kuma-elections tichinamata kunamatira nyika kuti ive nerunyararo. Saka makaona kuti nyika yakave nerunyararo pasarudzo yenyu zvisati zvamboitika. 2017 takanamata zvimwe chetezvo takatenderera nyika tichitsipika chete mweya. Saka makaona kuti mukupfutirana kwavakaita hapana kudiuka ropa, pakanga paine minamato zvichiti pane chinoda kuitika. Asi isusu vapostori tanzi tinamate chete kuti ropa risadeuke. Saka chido chatinonamata chete inyaya yekuti ropa risadeuke, nekuti Mwari nenyika ino vane chitsividzo chekuti nyika ino haideuke ropa. Vakati ropa rakadeuka ndiro rakabvumirwa vanhu vachirwisa vachena kuti vapiwe ivhu ravo. Saka vakatonzi ipapo zvakwana nekuti zvatenderwa, iwezve zvaive zvakabvumirwa naMwari Baba kuti ropa rideuke nekuti vairwira ivhu renyu. Kubva nguva ino yamave nevhu renyu kureva 1980 pakanzi nyika ino haizotendera kuti ideuke ropa rwepiri. Ndokutaura kweizwi, kutaura kwemweya mutsvene. Pakanamata tichitenderera pasarudzo takataura takati izwi redu ratiti nyika ino ichadzokera kune utungamiri huriko, asi kuseri kwesarudzo kune matambudziko, kune nzava, ndiko kune rufu rwake mutungamiri ari kutungamira iyi nyika nhasi. Vamwe vakati aiwa taona nyo Zimbabwe ino inzara. Zvino izwi rakavirika rakati kune makore manomwe akasusikidzana kana kuti akaberekana enzara. Ndokureva kwakaita izwi.
Don't deserve to suffer, man. So, kana vachida nyika ngavatore, man. Haikona kuti safesa, man. Kudera, man. Kati free, man. Pane vanogona kufara vanoita bogi. Vanovata pambedha inoti tefu nemotikari zvisingaiti. But when they own nothing of that country or land, they own nothing. But they are happy, they're the happiest. But they own nothing because they don't want to suffer. You must suffer to own your land. By 1 million US. God bless.
Umwe noumwe wedu ari pano naasiri pano, Jehovha anoti kwaari, anoti kwatiri, ndinoziva zvandakakurongera. Hapana chakaipa chandakakurongera. Ini zvandakaronga saJehovha zvakakunakira iwe pachako. Asi iwe kana usingatendi kuna Jehovha, usingadi kufamba netsika yechiKristu, uchida kufamba netsika yerima, aiwa unokohwa zverima. asi uchifamba netsika yaJehovha unokohwa zorugare nezvine chiedza. Haleluya.
Uyo uko kuno ambo ano mamuona gere nai anovura meso anovura nzeve anokaya marigi Doti como, when doti como, usa saire. Come back, I no kaya mari.